Moreover, whenever there is an urgent requirement, vendors do tend to, provide raw material in higher rates, but then since they have time to negotiate, so they can negotiate as well. Okay. And if at all really there is a need of additional warehouse, this organization would have time to actually look for warehouse which is closer to organization, which they're getting at a much cheaper rates, right? And so on and so forth. There are, you know the examples what I've given. These sort of benefits are there in a lot of benefits are there in centralized ERP. Okay. Now, these ERPs were able to cater all these requirements in centralized way because they were designed in a way that they could operate in real time. Okay. Real time operation. Okay. We also used to say the system as OLTP system. Okay. Online transaction processing system. Okay. Okay. Now, these kind of solution, whenever we say, okay, fine, SAP is a ERP solution. So for these kind of requirements, right, SAP offers different solutions, right, which are there in market. And the core solution, what is offered to them is ECC. Okay. Depending upon complexity, business requirements, there are multiple other solutions as well, right, which can be used. Right, you talk about complexity, you talk about business requirement, you talk about how big business is, whether they are into multiple, business areas, right? That totally depends on how big that organization is, right? So SAP is offering different kind of solutions, okay, like CRM, okay, then ISU, okay. So there are a lot of, solutions what are there in market, okay. So I've given you, I mentioned certain examples over here. So ECC, CRM, ISU, you know, not PP, PO. Okay, PO is, these are few of the examples of your real-time operation, your OLTP systems. Okay, all right. Now, whenever these OLTP solutions were actually designed, okay, this organization, these vendors used to actually provide a GUI, right? That is graphical user interface. Okay, they used to provide database structure. Okay. Along with that, they used to provide some basic operational requirement report. Okay. So these were the three things what these sort of vendors like ERP or like SAP, right, used to consider whenever they are actually offering any sort of OLTP solution. Okay. Now, as time goes on, right, since any organization who is just starting their business, right, the first solution what they would always need is a solution which can help them out in order to run and operate and manage their business requirement end to end. Okay. Irrespective of any sort of materialistic or non-materialistic requirement of any business. Right. So the kind of solutions what has been offered is OLTP systems. Okay, and whenever any OLTP system is actually designed, it is designed considering these three basic criterias. Okay, that any OLTP system would need a interface which end users or business users could actually use and work on, a data structure which could operate in real time. Okay, and this real time operating structure, right, or business solution should have basic requirement of, to take care, to cater basic requirements of reporting, right? Now, as time goes on, as we know that there's, this particular solution, right, what is getting offered, right? Since this organization at present do not have any data, right, they are running from zero, and they have planned to adapt a OLTP solution, what we call as SAP, right? And they would pick any of the solution what is available over here, which I've mentioned, like ECC, CRM, or ISU, or PO, right? And they start their, business to run. Now, after like 5 years or 10 years, they observed that yes, when they started, they didn't have any data, but then now, since they are actually running in a pretty good way, right? So their database size would actually increase, right? So their database size would actually increase from 0 to 100, 200, 500 GB, right? Then 1 TB, like that. Okay. So as time goes on, the database size actually grows. Okay. In real sense, I would say it does not grows, it basically multiplies. Okay. So considering the business requirement, whenever you are running any report in your OLTP system, your OLTP system you know, is not able to cater. It is not, yes, it is designed to run certain level of report, but then that is not its primary requirement. Okay, that is not its primary utilization type. This system is primarily designed to run your core business and meet business requirement, right, in real time. And how do they achieve this real time operation? They achieve this real time operation by applying a very deep level of normalization. I believe you know about this term, normalization, right? So if you've done engineering, so you would know that there are multiple level of normalization, right? First NF, second NF, third NF, right? Fourth NF, BCNF, right? And fifth NF, right? Now, whenever there is a huge level of normalization or a deep level of normalization is applied in any of the database structure, the core objective is to ensure that the data which is residing, right, inside that data structure, right, that gets highly decomposed, right, that gets highly decomposed. And what do we understand by decomposing? Means breaking down of your data into much smaller tables, right? And whenever your data is actually decomposed to granular level, what happens? You can actually run your business in real time, ensuring that there is no data duplicacy, right? So running basic reports on those, very granular tables, it's pretty okay. It is manageable. But then, since this system, the solution is not designed to run report. Yes, it is. The primary objective is to run in real time, cater business requirement, right? But then running report is not the primary objective of the system. So considering the drawback of this system, that it is not designed to run your report, a newer solution is designed, okay? What we call as OLAP solution. Yeah. Because this system, what we had, right, this OLTP system, we could not, we could run the report, right? But then considering the granularity level of data, this organization, this solution could not actually cater, uh, you know, any data or any report which is older than 6 months, right? But then when we talk about business, right? When we talk about business, they are always they always have requirement of performing and running analytical report which could help them out in order to make decisions, right? Which product they should continue and which product they should actually stop manufacturing, right? So let's take an
Yes.
example of organization like HMT, right? It was at certain time that was one of the biggest watchmaking or company of our country, right?
Yes.
But then
First of all,
as time went ahead, they didn't move with the new design, right? New business requirements, and now they're all gone, right? They didn't know which product they should actually continue,
yeah.
right? Same way, if we talk about example of Atlas Cycle, right? So Atlas
Mm.
Cycle is also gone, right? So there are n number of examples which are there in market, and there are n number of examples which are operating from their time, and they do still exist, right? You talk about Colgate, right?
Mm.
You talk about Usha,
Mm.
right? So there are n number of organizations who were operating at that time, and they're still operating because they adapted those, that business change, right? So every organization needs one or the other solution which can help them out in order to make decision, right? That okay, fine, yes, this is the time wherein I should go for newer products, right? And this is the time when I should decommission my older products, right? Like Hero Cycles, what they did, they were initially a competitor of Atlas Cycle, but then they were not able to survive. But then as time went ahead, Hero Cycles continued with newer design, right? Newer style of cycles, and they still survive. Same way you talk about Timax, right? Titan, right? These are also organizations which are running at that time, but then they were not market leader, but now they are actually running in a good scale. So the requirement of a OLAP solution was becoming important for bigger organization, right? Or any organization who want to grow, who want to make right decisions at right time. So this OLAP solution was actually one of the important decision making factor for them, and demand of these OLAP solutions was actually increasing. So SAP introduced a new solution, what we call as BW solution, business warehouse solution, right? So if any organization needs any sort of OLAP solution from SAP standpoint, one solution what SAP was offering was BW solution. Okay. Now, this BW solution, as we discussed previously, right? This BW solution was actually designed to cater any sort of analytical requirement, right? Because our existing OLAP solution was not designed to cater any sort of reporting, right? So business was happy, right? And they started adapting this BW solution, right? Data warehouse solution, okay, in a very extensive way, right? But then as time goes on, because we do not have or nobody can actually design a solution which could be perfect and could last for life or and for ages, right? So what SAP did, what problem organizations started facing, right? Because when this BW solution was initially offered, so so their database size was not that much big, okay, 200, 300, 400 GB. That was the size of the database size what any organization could hold, right, initially. And as time went ahead, business had a requirement of running extensive reports, right? Because complex criteria, complex requirements started occurring, right? Because business wanted to expand, right? They wanted to expand their horizon not only in India, but then they wanted to actually go abroad, right? So considering the complex requirement, whenever any report used to get run in our BW solution or in any of OLAP solution, it generally used to run for like 8 to 9 hours, and then business used to have whatever analytical report they needed, right? But then as time goes on, your database size increases, right? So from 300 to 400, it started increasing to 1 TB or 2 TB. Somewhere it was more. And when SAP conducted a survey of their own and even from outside of India, right, there are multiple survey conducting organizations. So what they observed is back in 2010, right, or 2009, when SAP conducted the survey, they observed that at that time, the global data, what organizations had, that was of 178 trillion gigabyte of data, which is altogether the size of data, right? If we write that particular data into disk, that is actually the way back from Earth to Moon and then back. Okay, so that kind of humongous data, right? And that was growing every 3 year, right? That was doubling every 3 year, 3 year. So the way these organizations are actually expanding, okay, business needed some new innovative idea which could cater the new business requirement, right? Because every business which was operating at that time, they wanted their solution to be available on the fly, right? If they're traveling, they wanted access to their data. If they want to make decision, they want spontaneous report. And at that time, 2008, 2009, there was no such solution available in market, which could actually, give spontaneous response. So there were a lot of improvements which were actually done by different vendors, right, who were at that time offering different kind of solutions which were catering OLAP solution requirement, right? So improvements were done from SAP side as well. So SAP introduced this concept of BEX, right? BW accelerator. Now, what this BW accelerator did, it actually improved the performance, but then this improved performance was not a significant improvement what any business would need, right? Any report which was previously running for 8 to 9 hours, yes, there was an improvement, but then that was a improvement of 5% or 10% at max. So any report which was previously running for 8 to 9 hours, if that report gets executed by within by 8 hours 30 minutes, so do you think that it is a significant improvement and the business would really get benefited from that improvement? No, right?
No.
Right, that's not a significant improvement.
Yeah.
So what, and there were in same thing actually happened in our OLAP solutions as well, because as your database size grows, performing keeping 6 months data, right, and then operating on that, so it becomes difficult. So there were different solutions which were offered there as well, right? That was like examples like Trex, right? Trex was introduced by SAP. Okay, so considering the requirement, right? What SAP observed that, okay, fine, yes, business demand is actually changing, and they're looking for a solution which could actually provide them spontaneous reports, which could actually, you know, be available on the fly on their mobile devices, right? You talk about laptop, you talk about web, you talk about office, you talk about your while they're traveling over the car, they, that should be accessible. So what SAP observed, the first thing is improvement in how the data needs to be processed, right? That is the first scenario which needs to be worked on. And what SAP observed is the moment any user runs any report, okay, it hits to the server, right? SAP server, where the data resides. That is data warehouse system. Okay. Now the request is received by CPU. Okay. Now CPU, what it does, it actually processes the request and tries to populate data which is there in RAM, right? So we know that RAM is volatile in nature, right? And it could hold the most frequently used data only, right? And any data which is not available in RAM, it would further be fetched from disk, correct? And
Yeah.
so, and it will return back to from disk to your OS to RAM, then RAM to the CPU, and then based on that, the processing would happen. So what SAP observed is 10% of time was actually consumed while the interaction is happening between CPU and RAM, and almost 90% of time was consumed while the data is getting populated from disk to RAM, because not all data was available in RAM. Okay, specific to the data warehouse solution. Okay, so SAP introduced this BEX solution, which actually improved the performance and improvised the total utilization. Okay, of reduce the total utilization of 9 hours, right? And they did a lot of improvement in their solution. And what they observed is till the time this 90% of time what is getting utilized between disk to RAM, till the time they don't work on this, they cannot find a perfect solution what this business needs, right? Which could actually cater a business requirement. So what SAP did is SAP came up with the concept of in-memory DB, in-memory database. Okay, IMDB. Now, previously, right, these, any of these OLTP solution, right, the database structure which was offered was of RDBMS type. Okay, and whenever any OLAP solution was designed, these solutions were actually designed considering the database structure, which is less of a normalized, right? Right. And the objective of this system was reporting, right? But then your all the RDBMS systems, when I'm saying RDBMS, it is actually it can adapt any of the database, right? Like Oracle, you talk about Sybase, you talk about MaxDB, you talk about any database. Okay. But then those traditional databases could not fulfill the business requirements. Okay. So what SAP did, SAP came up with this innovative idea of IMDB solution, that is in-memory database. So in this in-memory database, concept of storing data into disk is almost eliminated. Okay. Now, when your data is not available in disk, or when your system does not need any interaction with disk to populate the data into RAM, so you're already fast, 90% fast, right? So any report which was running for 9 hours, that could actually run in just 1 hour now. So this is actually a kind of improvement what any business would recognize, that yes, previously the report was running in 9 hours, but then now it is running in just 1 hour, right? So this is a significant difference. On top of it, we know that parallelization is a proven concept, right? Which could be utilized in case of lowering down the time consumption whenever we are running any report, right? Whenever we are doing any activity, right? So parallelization would definitely reduce the time, total execution time. So SAP had applied this parallelization proven concept, and they were able to reduce down this 10% time as well, okay, to 5%. So any report which was running in 9 hours, now after applying this parallelization concept, it could be executed in just 30 minutes, right? But then this 30 minutes was also not something which SAP was targeting. Okay. So SAP further fine-tuned and observed that, okay, fine, what are the problems and drawbacks in traditional RDBMS, right? Which we could improve in this IMDB solution, and which we could make, which, wherein we could make a much better solution, right? Which business really needs. So SAP observed that in traditional RDBMS systems, the data used to get stored in row and column, right? In row and column format, correct? So in row and column format, if at all, let me actually, if at all, any data, needs to be accessed, right? So that used to take a lot of time. If at all, we are trying to access a data in a very large table, so it'll take time. But then when we talk about this IMDB solution, we do not have a concept of a row and column. We have columnar table. Okay. In IMDb, we have columnar table. Okay. Columnar table work as an index of their own. So they don't needed any index, right? And traditionally, our traditional RDBMS needed a separate table index. And in case your table size is big, they would need secondary indexes as well. Okay. And those indexes also store space in those RDBMS. So by this IMDb, right, columnar table concept, SAP was able to reduce down the database size of the customer, improve performance because no additional index was needed. Additionally, there were a lot of architectural changes which were done in this IMDb. And by this change, what SAP observed is any report which were getting executed, right, in 30 minutes, now it could be, executed in just, 5 to 9 seconds, right? So this is a kind of drastic improvement, right? What has been done by SAP, improvement in the solutions, right? By applying different improvements in the solution, right? And there are a lot of forums which you would still see on internet wherein Oracle has criticized on this kind of solution that it cannot exist. And in 2012, SAP launched this product IMDB, okay, with the name of HANA, right? That is why we call it as HANA in-memory database. Okay.
Okay.
So, and SAP doesn't even stops over here. There's a new innovation what SAP has already been doing and have already been working, which is offering, right? Since you have been working in SaaS, in your cloud environment, right? So you must be
Yeah.
aware about multiple cloud, uh, offers, right? Like
Yeah.
uh,
IaaS platform.
IaaS, right? Multiple cloud
Yeah.
platform,
Platform as a service,
right?
software as a service, and infrastructure as a service.
Right. So you're already aware about this IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, right?
Yes,
So
Alan.
all these solutions, right? OLTP, OLAP, right? IMDB, all these solutions were actually, fit in scenarios of IaaS and PaaS. Okay.
Okay.
However, now SAP is actually, they have already designed a solution, right? And they've already been working on this SaaS solution, right? And they're already, serving a new solution for their initial product, their core products, right? And
Okay.
this new solution is SAP BTP. Okay, so SAP is now targeting on SaaS solutions wherein customer, if they want to actually, utilize business SAP as their core business solution, they can simply subscribe on service and they could actually start using their core business solution right from the day one. And there
Okay.
are multiple, scenarios, right? How SAP is offering this BTP. Okay, like SAP is offering BTP in two forms primarily. One is Rise with SAP, okay, and another is your Grow with SAP. So these are two forms how BTP is getting offered. So difference between both of them is one is more of a shared environment wherein there is one system, right, wherein SAP is being deployed, one environment, and that is accessed by multiple different subscribers of this Grow with SAP. But then that comes with a lot of restrictions, right? You can't customize, right, to a lot of extent. If at all any customization is needed, that is a standardized customization what SAP would release to all of their customer, right? And you would need to wait till the time that SAP approves those customization, right? There are not a lot of changes which you could do in your infrastructure. So that Grow with SAP is primarily targeting for small scale industries. That is why small scale industries primarily they need a solution which could help them out in order to run their business, but then they don't evolve too fast, right? They don't need much of a changes in their operations. But then bigger organization who could afford SAP's, you know costing, right, who are already transformed, right? So for them there is a dedicated service which is Rise with SAP with much more advanced features, right? Like AI, right? Artificial intelligence, robotics. So there are a lot of automation which has been done in Rise with SAP, and very less level of issues and more streamlined operations, right, is offered with Rise with SAP. So there is a huge level of innovation improvement what has been done in entire SAP's growth journey, right? So I believe you are clear on the discussion what we have done on SAP's growth, right?
Yes, Alan.
Right, all clear for till now?
Yeah. Till now, clear.
Okay, okay, good. So first thing is, I know that you must be, excited and would must be, willing to work on SAP, right,
Yeah.
from the day
Yes.
one.
Yes,
But then,
Alan.
you need to understand that there is a lot of, logics, understanding, maturity which you would need to gain on SAP, right? For that, theoretical sessions are needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So initially, 3 4 sessions we would conduct theoretical sessions, and then we would work together in order to get your SAP system ready, right?
Okay.
And in reference to SAP basis, you need to have a laptop handy with you, yeah,
Yes.
so that we could download the media, set up your SAP environment on your laptop itself. Okay,
Yeah.
and you could practice anytime when you need. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So by default, it's a 30 days trial license. What we get,
Okay.
so we don't need to worry about the license. So anytime if you feel that your license or is going to expire, you can uninstall and reinstall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So any questions for me, Bala?
Yes, Alan. Like, what's the scope and how far we can go? Yeah, those kind of things.
How far we can do? I didn't get that.
Like, what's the scope of this role? Like, what all roles can I get if I do on
So
basis?
so if you are actually targeting to work as a basis administrator, right?
Okay.
So basis administrator is actually is a technical role. Okay. And
Okay.
in SAP, entire SAP support environment, right? When we
Okay.
talk about technical side, so there are two roles only, right? One is your ABAP development. So in case you feel that your requirement is for you're good in development, you're good in logic building, right? So then ABAP is the technology which is best suited for you. But then in case you feel that no, and as per my understanding as well, I feel personally that since you are already working and closely with infrastructure, so
Yes.
basis is the right domain for you,
Okay.
right? Because we are you already have infrastructure level of understanding,
Yes.
right? And on top of it, if you get right basis SAP basis product understanding,
No. Yeah.
right? So that is going to enhance your skills, right? And if you're talking in reference to packages,
Yeah.
so if you are into technical, so package, I don't feel that there is a package limit, right? 35, 40 is something which you could get easily in India itself.
Okay.
And there are opportunities to if you get an opportunity to go abroad, so then you can go beyond as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's completely depend on me after
Yes,
the
yes, yes,
training.
definitely. I mean, see, the company would not give you any offer or any salary, just because you need it, right? You need to prove your concepts. You
Mm-hmm.
need to showcase your skills, and then
Mm-hmm.
only they would, right?
No.
So that is what it is here. Okay. So I believe you were, the primary challenges what we face in any of the trainings what we carry out is the method what the trainer is adapting for training the student, right? So generally that is something where there is a lack of understanding, right, which we face. So was that okay, Bala, from your standpoint, like, or you need some improvement, some changes?
No, from my side, I can understand very good
Hmm.
what you teach, Alan.
Okay,
The
okay,
speech, the verbal, it's clear for me.
okay, thanks. Okay, so if at all you